me.
Carol, it's not just diabetes, epilepsy, heart attack, stroke, all ailments that can strike in an instant. And when that leads to a crash, everyone involved is a victim. A crash that rocked an entire community.
Several people's lives changed forever. And it's really sad.
Two families who will never be the same.
Parents are not supposed to bury their own children.
2 weeks ago, Marilyn Erdman lost her family in a crash. Daughter Patricia, her son Tom, and his wife Kathy, who we interviewed for an online dating story years ago.
When I met Kathy, I told her then that she was going to marry me.
A love story that ended all too quickly. Police say the man behind the wheel of the other car had a diabetic seizure.
You know, he could have been doing everything right and still bad things can happen, but thankfully it's extremely rare.
This is not the first time diabetes has been named as the cause of a crash. In Pennsylvania in 2009, an 8-year-old boy saved himself and his pregnant mom, who went into diabetic shock while driving.
I felt like the car was going to crash.
Another case right here in Wisconsin in 2004. A med van driver suffered a diabetic reaction and crashed into a guardrail, killing a passenger.
Begin tonight with a case that is challenging the laws defining driving under the influence.
Also in 2009, a man in California was charged with manslaughter and reckless driving.
It was a total accident.
Prosecutors blamed his uncontrolled diabetes. So when and how do crashes like this turn into a criminal case? Unlike a case of drunk driving or other negligent activity, diabetes and other medical cases are hard to prove.
When it's caused by something like an illness without forewarning, it can be even more traumatic because there's nobody to blame.
Dan Davis is a Milwaukee personal injury lawyer. He represents people injured in auto accidents.
We help people get their lives back together after something like this happens.
He's handled crashes involving medical conditions before.
Figuring out the medical history of the person, whether or not this is something that's happened before or whether they were experiencing symptoms close in time to the accident.
Davis says the burden of proof is on the driver with the illness to prove the attack came on without forewarning. But
if an illness comes upon you without warning and you cause an accident, you shouldn't be held responsible for that.
Endocrinologist Paul Knudsen sees many diabetic patients at Fredert and the medical college. He says they can lead very normal, productive lives.
With good self-management skills, you can drive very safely.
Dr. Knudsen tells his patients to have an idea what their blood sugar is before they get behind the wheel.
So you should always have the tools at hand to check, and you should always have the treatment at hand in case it comes on unexpectedly.
As for this crash in New Berlin, police continue to reconstruct the scene and decipher whether this tragedy could have been prevented. Marilyn had this message for the other driver.
I just forgive him. He was part of the master plan, and he needs to forgive himself.
And we did speak to an acquaintance of the driver with diabetes. He says that driver is broken up about what happened and does take insulin regularly. Now, we also spoke to the Waukesha County DA today. He's still waiting on that police report, so no word yet if any charges are going to be filed.
Interesting topic.
Yeah.
Sad. Thank you, Courtney.
Very much.